All right, hey, good afternoon, everybody out there. It's a good day today. How you doing? My name's Gene Tagaban. I'm going to be on with you today. Oops. Because Sister Theta, she's out helping a relative out today, so she wasn't able to come on. And so here I am. My name's Gene Tagaban. I'm with the Native Wellness Institute. Welcome, 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 welcome. For Wellness Wednesdays. Moved from the Power Hours to Wellness Wednesdays, and been running these now for a while. So, anyways, I'm just getting things set up. I haven't been on it for a while. It's been a while, and how's everybody out there? How are my relatives? So have a little patience with me here as I'm getting set up, and let me see here. Well, shoot, I'll just get started. I don't even know if I'm on or not, really. Oops, let me turn this off. Here we go. So Ganachish, it's a good day today here. My name is Gene Tagaban. My Tlingit name is Gayao. I'm of the Duckdane Tong clan, the Raven Freshwater Sockeye clan in Hoona, Alaska. Child of a Wishkatan Eagle Shark clan from Juan in Juneau, Alaska. I'm Cherokee, Tlingit, and Filipino. My last name, Tagaban, comes from my father's side, who's his Filipino and Tlingit. And my mama, she's full-blood Cherokee, a Sloggy. And right now I'm talking to you from the territories of the Coast Salish peoples, on the lands of the Puyallup people. And I tell people in the shadow of Mount Tacoma. It's the modern day, it's known as Mount Rainier, but let's take it back to its traditional name, Mount Tacoma, where the waters originate from. Living here, it's a beautiful day out here with my wife. She's Aani in Lakota and Northern Italian, and I like to introduce her as well, just to because she's so much part of my life. So here we are on a Wellness Wednesday, and welcome, welcome, welcome all you relatives out there. And again, as I said earlier, that Theta Newbreast, she usually comes on and she facilitates this, and she has her discussions and her talks and her chats, and Theta is just being Theta. She's awesome. But send her out some prayers, send her out some good thoughts, send her out some. She's out there helping a relative who's dealing with an illness, and as Theta does, that's what she does. She serves the people. She serves the people. So hi, Marlene. Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much for saying hi, and. So as we get started here, I just want to bring it in with a quick little song, and I'd ask you to, everybody, to think about the land of your ancestors. Think about the land of that you're on right now. Who are the ancestors that were there? What did the land look like? And without all the buildings, and where everything was just trees and the animals are about. But I want to sing this song too. Plus, music really helps ground me, right? Helps ground me. Because oftentimes I was just outside, I'm fixing up my hair, I'm looking a little rough, and, my wife's probably on there going, holy smokes, you didn't even fix up your hair, and anything like that. I was doing some yard work out there. But, so I'm going to sing this song, and again, it helps ground me. What do you do for you and your wellness and your health that helps ground you? I was outside doing some yard work, but also my music. And so I just want to sing this song and think about what grounds you in the land of your relatives. And if you don't know, because oftentimes we come from this place called the Stolen Generations. It's think about a sunrise or sunset, the movement of the tides, the waves on the shore, the wind moving through the trees, and the seasons. We're coming out of a summer season into a fall season. And then pretty soon we're going into winter, and think about those things. The call of the eagle or raven, the coyote, the humming of the hummingbirds, Think about those things, because those are exactly what our ancestors listened to. They listened to. And if you want to connect with those ancestors, just step outside, step out and listen and experience those things. Those are exactly what our ancestors experienced. So I'll just sing this song and just bring to mind and just bring us all into that place. So. Oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey, 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 ho, ho, hey, ho, ho, hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, ho, ho. Girum wayo ho flow dum fet me ho ho hwe hi yo ho hwe. Feels so much better now. You know, and I got that song from Johan Atkinson, not Athabaskan, but Sinshian from Metlakatla. And he offered that song just to acknowledgement of our ancestors, acknowledgement of all of our ancestors. And yeah, and so as I was thinking about that, I was singing that song, I couldn't help but reflect on last week I was working with a group of people, teachers, you know, and school's coming into session now. And many of the teachers are prepping, getting ready to get back to school. Excited about this time too. And anxious as well. You know, going into this new school year. A lot of anticipations of what expectations and the unknown of what holds, what the school year holds for them. And so it's one of those things too, if the teachers are feeling that, how are the kids feeling? How are the parents feeling as well during this time? And it is a transitional time. School, going into school. And so how can we lessen that anxiety? How can we lessen that those anticipations, the unknown, you know? And how can we bring ourselves in a calm place? You know, there's a lot of stress out there. And stress is one of the number one causes of illness, hurts, diseases. You know, and so yeah. So what do you do? What can we do? And so I talked with these teachers last week and talking about being healing informed, trauma informed. And sure, we talked about historical traumas. We talked about, no, there's many non-native people there too, so we talked about their ancestors as well. And many of them, well, that was the first time they ever introduced themselves in a way of actually introducing their who they are, where they come from. And I was taught that when we go to an indigenous gathering, a native gathering, we share with you who our family are, who we are, not what we do, because we're more than what we do. And in this world today, so many of us, we identify ourselves and introduce ourselves by what we do, as opposed to who we are. And it was great to hear some Spanish-speaking people, some Irish-speaking and German-speaking people, you know, just to make an attempt at introducing themselves in this new way, which is actually a very old way of introducing ourselves. And it was great. So I worked with myself, and I was working with Levina Louie. And then Levina said, let's just go outside, let's go to the beach. And so we had to make like a 5-minute drive, and we all went out to the beach, down to the water. It was kind of a cloudy day out there. The wind was blowing a little bit, and there was a mist in the air in the Pacific Northwest, which was very welcomed. It was so welcomed, because it's been such a dry season, dry summer. And we're standing out there, everyone's mingling around, looking around, and feeling the water already. And so I gathered everybody up just to acknowledge where we're at. We weren't in a building, we weren't in a square room or anything. We're standing on the land. Some of them took off their shoes. I encouraged them to take off their shoes, to feel the earth. I was taught that when we take off our shoes, we also walk on the land or step into the water, that we're waking up our DNA. Our direct connection to the land and to the earth is through our feet. And so many times we're disconnected. Our feet are disconnected from the earth, through our shoes, through the shoes. And the earth itself is an energy. It's an energy. And so we separate ourselves from the earth and our feet with our rubber shoes. And so many of them took off their shoes and felt the sand on their feet. And I told them, take a look at your track. Take a look at your print. You see, outside the earth, when we walk on the earth accepts your footprint. In the same way as it accepts the footprint of a bear, a deer, a mouse, coyote, a bird, eagle, raven, an insect. If you're rich or you're poor, if you're male or female, if you're LGBTQ, if you're Catholic, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, indigenous, if you're white, you're black, brown, or Asian. The earth doesn't distinguish. The earth will accept your footprint in the same way. That tells me a lot about a way of being. Perspective on how to see and walk this world and see the earth and see the land and experience that. And that helps me. And I want to encourage you to do the same, to get out there. So we went out there with these teachers and we were talking about that. As we're sitting there, we had the principal there, we had the superintendent there, and there was a hierarchy. There's a couple custodians there. And I just want to say this. When it comes to schools, that the custodians and those who take care of the schools, man, are some of the most important beings, individuals in the school. And I don't think we appreciate them enough. Just to give them a thank you. Give them a thank you. When my wife was a teacher, when Ruby was a teacher, the custodian would come in, and the custodian thanked her, said, thank you for keeping your room clean, taking care of your room. And he noticed that in taking care of the room, that the students themselves also took care of the space. And so there's that reciprocal appreciation. Thank you for taking care of your room, and thank you for coming in and watching over and taking care of the space as well. So the custodians were there, as far as other teachers. As we stood there in the circle on the beach outside, I mentioned that as we're sitting there beneath the trees, seagulls are flying by, an eagle flew by, ravens calling, there was a blue jay, there was a porpoise jumping out there in the water. And again, the wind and the soft waves on the shore. As we're standing there, that the tree didn't care if you were the principal or if you're the superintendent. It didn't care. It accepted you as a human being. It accepted you as a human being. And I said, everyone take a look around, and at each other, because we've all been dreamt into existence. And those who are listening right now, I want to encourage you to if you get a chance, take a look in the mirror. And as you see your reflection in the mirror, you'll see somebody who's been dreamt into existence. by our ancestors. You know, and that, for myself, it holds a really big place for me. And it helps me to see others as well. Others. And when I say others, other human beings, other people. And try to have an understanding of them, or an acceptance of them. But it was great standing on the beach. And then we stood there, and we were going to do this letting go ritual ceremony of grabbing a rock, and then whatever that we wanted to let go. Maybe it's like we need to let go of some judgments, ill judgments against somebody. Maybe let go of some resentments that we might have against our family, mothers, fathers, brothers, politics. Maybe we just want to let go of some self-shame, whatever it might be, whatever it might be. And there are some people who said, I don't know what I want to let go of. And I said that's okay if you don't know. Because it might come up for you later on, something that's stopping you, something that's holding you back, something that's keeping you from smiling. Or even something that's keeping you from dropping tears. Whatever it might be, that's okay because it might come to you later. But it was one of the local tribal members who said the canoes are going to be going into the water today, so we can't throw rocks into the water. We need to keep things undisturbed or calm. And throwing rocks in the water it could be a very uncommon way, or to disrupt the spirit and the energy of the place. And I really appreciated that when she said that, because wherever we're at, we need to take a look at what are the protocols of the space, of the place. Because the protocols here in the Pacific Northwest are different as if I was in the Southwest, or if I was on the plains or the East Coast. You know, each place has its own protocols, and so I appreciated them saying and sharing those protocols. And so what we did instead was we passed around. I brought out a smudge with some cedar, sweetgrass, tobacco, sage, a little bit of lavender was in there, and passed around the tobacco. So instead of throwing rocks into the water, I encourage just take some tobacco and gently drop it into the water of whatever you want to let go. Or maybe you're just going to drop this tobacco in a way of offering just to say thank you. And so we all grabbed that tobacco too. And before we left, I said, and those things that you want to let go, remember to thank them. Because for somehow, some way, some reason, there's that they were there for a purpose. They served a purpose to take care of you, to watch over you somehow. And now they don't serve a purpose. And so we all went to the water. We sang some songs. Dropped the tobacco. Us, all of us as people, human beings, participating together, collectively healing. Wanting to be better, so that the school that they work at is a better place, is a loving place, is a healing place. They don't want to walk into those with those resentments or those hurts, those harms, those traumas, those wounds, whatever it is. And we all have them. We always carry them. They just wanted to be better for the kids, for the students, for the school, for the parents. And so it was a beautiful thing. collectively participated in a ritual. And I reflected on that, just from last week. It's one of those things, it's like, what is it that we can do, or you can do? Just by yourself, or as a family, or with another friend, whatever they might be. Just simply go out there and just drop some tobacco, and just to give reverence, just to give just thanks. Or maybe there's some tears that you might drop, whatever it might be. I want to encourage you just to go out onto the land, out onto the water, next to the water, wherever it is, and the trees. Even if you're in an urban setting, go to a park, because the trees are connected to the land, the trees are connected to the earth, the grass itself is. And to take that time, take that moment. In this world right now, because again, there's so many stresses, there's so much anxiety that's going on for many people, and part of it too is those who are dealing with the challenge of post-traumatic stress, historical traumas, whatever it might be. Just to simply go outside. And what is it that you can do? Because it's one of the things too is I'm transitioning here and from that story of last week, with these teachers, and with and I'm going to go back really quick, as the school season is coming into full swing here, and with the teachers and the students and the parents and all that. Everyone's looking forward to it, and some aren't. Again, with that, what is it? How can we lessen the stress in our lives around that? And to talk about it too with your kids, your partner, and build a relationship with your teachers. Build a relationship with the schools. They need you to be part of that. They need you, because you got to build a relationship to build a team, so that the school is a better place for the kids. Yeah, a healing place. And so I'm going to just move into a little bit of that anxiety that we hold, because a lot of people, that anxiety we hold, and when we talk about hurts and harms and traumas and wounds, that a trauma mind is a frantic mind. A trauma mind is a frantic mind. And that our minds are always moving, our minds are there's always something going on, or there's always, our attention is always somewhere. Our attention is always somewhere. And where's our attention? And so if our mind's always moving, our mind's always just taking us someplace here and there. I was reading this book on as an author, Resma Manikin, and he wrote a book called My Grandfather's Hands. And I'm also looking at another book here by Ibram Kendi, and another author out there. But when they talk about trauma and that mind, that how do we slow things down? How do we slow it down? And part of it too is, again, stepping on the land, our rituals, our ceremonies, our songs. Oftentimes too, I'll be, for myself personally, I sing a lot internally. Right now I'm learning some new songs. But that really helps me just to slow my mind down. And watching videos of, lately I've been watching videos online of how to tie knots. I got a string, I got a rope right next to where I sit on the couch, my spot, and it's on yeah, how to tie knots. In fact, I got a string right here. It's all knotted up. I can't. I'll take too much time right now to undo it. But that's a way for me to cope. And my wife, Ruby, oftentimes too, she'll like go, "What are you watching? What are you looking at?" So I'm just looking at knots, or sometimes I'm looking at how to fix my bike. I'm a bike rider, so I'm taking a look at how to fix my bike, or just baseball or things like that. Just mindless stuff, you know, that helps me ease my mind, the trauma mind, the frantic mind, where it's always racing. It can always go someplace, man. You know, and if I leave that to myself, you know. And Ronnie says, "You sing all the time." Yeah, it feels good. And another thing that Resman Mannequin said, you know, again, he's a black-skinned human being, and he wrote about how his ancestors, and I love this, his ancestors, when they were in the fields when they're enslaved, and they worked the fields, that they would always be humming. And I love that, because it, you know, I want to encourage us to, how many of you hum? And I love, you know, what the great thing about that is that you see kids, children, young children, grade school children, preschool kids, children, you know, they're always humming. They're always humming, you know, and whatever it is, you know, and what happens when we become adults and grown-ups, you know, it's like, hum. If you don't know a traditional song or a song, just hum it. We all know a rhythm. Or just make it up. Just make it up. You know, I love you. I'm looking at the post here. So Cassandra, you started sketching again, drawing. You know, and I have drawn things next to my chair. You know, your grandma was always humming. Yeah, those grandmas always humming a song, or always humming. And what that does too, you just talked about the humming, it creates a vibration in us. And everything around us is energy, everything around us is vibration. And if you're just angry, you're mad, or that trauma, that hurt, those wounds are always coming up, it creates a vibration. And so a way to, when you're just humming, just you're calming the vibration, you're chilling the vibration out, man. You know, and I'm looking at some of these here, your words, teach and breathe, and Ruby, yeah. And maybe I'll do a breathing exercise here with you in just a sec that I was taught. And one of the things too is when we talk about breathing, when we're humming and when we're singing, it's our breath. We're using our breath. And when we're humming, we're using our breath. And one thing, I love to ride my bike, you know, because I'm using my breath, and I can't help but not be attentive to my breath, how it's going on, how I'm using it, how I'm breathing. And so to breathe that breath. And so part of it too, just what do we do and what can we do is, I have some relatives out there who are talking about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I was reading this a book by Dr. Gabor Mate. Now, all these authors I talk about, I encourage each and every one of you to read them. But Dr. Gabor Mate talks about post-traumatic stress disorder more as post-traumatic stress experience. Because when we call it a disorder, our system, our bodies, our mind, it's not a disorder, it's a natural reaction to something we experienced. It's a natural reaction to something we've experienced. Hardship or trauma, whatever it might be. And so it's a post-traumatic stress experience. And some of these things that we're just sharing, and each and of you who are sharing on the chat too, is ways to cope. Getting outside. And when I say getting outside, just getting outside and being still. Getting outside, taking your shoes off. Connecting with other things other than the trauma or the hurt or the wounds or that experience you had. And when Gabor Mate, he defines trauma as not what happened to us, but what's happening inside of us as a result of what happened to us. So oftentimes with those hurts, those harms, those traumas that keep going on and on and on and on and on. Those tapes, those stories. And we keep following those stories. And so how can we calm the mind, calm the system? And part of this, again, getting outside and connecting. I was told by an elder of mine to learn about the nature of who you are is to go to nature. Is to go to nature. And just sit out there. And we can find that wherever we're at, even in, again, urban settings, getting outside. But those relatives are dealing with PTSD or post-traumatic stress experiences. You know, again, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So how can we calm it and mellow it out? And a lot of that too, again, breathing, and even acknowledging it, you know, and just the mindfulness of right now, just wherever you're at, just sitting in your chair, your feet on the floor. Maybe you're driving in the car. Be mindful of how your body sits in the chair, how your hands are on the steering wheel. Be mindful of everything around you. And how can we get back into that mindfulness, as opposed to being in the past and being in the future. One of the impacts of trauma is not being able to be in the moment. We're always worried about something that happened to us or something that's coming up. And that mindfulness is about just paying attention to what's in the now. One of the things that we do when we go outside is just to step outside and listen to the birds. If you want to know what's going on out in the woods, listen to the birds. The birds will tell you. And I find it really interesting that there's an article out there in New York Times or someplace that they said science has finally discovered or found that the birds have a language. Indigenous people have known that forever. The birds have a language. So part of that wellness of just getting outside and listening to the birds, you know, just listen to the sounds of the birds that are around you. And this is something you could do in an urban setting. Listen to the sounds of birds right around you. Then start listening to, as you go out, expand your circle. Listen to the birds a little further away. Listen for the call of the birds a little further away. To a point that you can point in the directions like, oh, I hear one way over there. Oh, I hear one right here, right over my head. And start paying attention to the music of the birds. The music of the birds. And another thing too is just to be able to go outside and just close your eyes, and when you close your eyes, just think about, where's the biggest tree? What direction would the biggest body of water would be? Which way is north? Which way is east, south, west? If I closed my eyes right now, could I point to the direction of where the sun is right now? Can I point to the direction of where the sun is going to be at 7 o'clock p.m.? Can I point to the direction of the moon that's rising tonight? Tonight's supposed to be a blue moon. And those of you who have clear skies tonight, go outside and check it out. I always like to go out with my dogs, and we'll go out late and just walk around in our alley. And I'll always be taking a look at the stars and where the moon's going to be at. And hopefully it'll be clear enough that I'll be able to see the blue moon tonight. These are just a few simple things that you could do to settle the system, to settle the mind, to get connected into now, into the moment, to get connected into the mindfulness. Right now, what's helping me get connected into the mindfulness too is I have an injured foot. I have an injured foot right now, and it's plantar fasciitis, and so yeah, I'm limping around a bit, and part of that too is getting that. I hate to admit it, but part of it's like I'm just getting older. I just can't do the things that I used to do, and sometimes I push it. But my wife Ruby just said, I'm reading this book right now by Gabor Mate. It says, when the body says no. And the thing is, if I keep pushing it and such, that my body will tell me, no, stop. If you're overstressing, your body will tell you to stop. If you're not listening to yourself, what's going on with you? And so right now in my mindfulness, every time I walk somewhere, I'm very aware and mindful of how I walk, how I put my foot on the earth, how I even put my shoes on, what shoes I wear, what part of my foot hits the earth, hits the ground as I walk, when I'm walking on a hard surface or a softer surface. So I'm very aware of that. And so, yeah. So that's mindfulness. And even being mindful of how I eat. Part of my practice I'm working on now, I haven't even told Ruby this, part of the practice I'm working on now is taking smaller bites. Instead of like taking a big old fork and just like, but just like taking smaller bites. Helps me eat slower. Plus, I'm just more aware of how I eat, how I'm building my relationship with food, especially as I age. I'm getting older, and I'm going to take this risk right now that majority of you who are watching right now or might watch later on are going to be a little bit older. And I'm going to say, I'm going to take this risk right now that you'll probably be younger than I am, but as we age, I have to be aware, and there's an acceptance that I am aging. And I'm looking at myself right now. I'm gray. I got wrinkles. I'm losing my hairline. I'm still looking pretty good though. But anyways, there's but I just can't do the things I used to when I was younger. But there's some things I can do better. And part of that too is an acceptance, gratitude. I hold things I hold a deeper gratitude for things now. An appreciation. I hold many things in reverence. about you? How about you? I mean, even just the simplicity of just sitting on the porch with Ruby and just watching our dogs. Hold that in reverence and in gratitude. Clean air. When I was younger, I mean, it didn't really matter too much, but now, I mean, yeah, clean air and water. And being able to walk. One of the things I want to be able to do is, as I age, you know, one day I hope I'll be 80s. Maybe I might make it to the 90s. I don't know. I want to be able to walk. I want to be functional. I want to be able to move. Gratitude. What do we hold in gratitude? And that part too of what do we hold in gratitude and being grateful is part of that mindfulness as well. What are we grateful for? Yeah. And just start looking for those things that you hold in gratitude. Seeking it out, those things. Because it's one of those things, you know, the negativity and all that stuff. We don't have to look for it. Unfortunately, we don't have to look for it. Just turn on the TV. Turn on social media. You know, just drive down the block. We got trash on the road. We got homeless down there. I mean, the hurt, the negativity, it's out there. We don't have to look for it. But it seems like right now we have to work harder and look for the gratitude. Be searchers and seekers of that. The gratitude. So anyways, I can go on and on and on and on. Let me see here. Marlene, you know, you started learning and singing your new songs. Yeah, I'm learning some new songs too. It's really, I'm really digging them. From Ed Littlefield, he wrote some songs. I went to a men's gathering a couple weeks now, and he brought in some new songs, and he presented and gave these songs to the men as a way, again, to how do we calm the mind, to be able to sing when you feel troubled or lost or angry, whatever it is, to bring these songs to your mind and sing. And thanks everybody for watching. I was just taking a look on here. So it's amazing how much time, how fast an hour goes by. And an elder of mine says, oh, sometimes time goes by just so fast. Sometimes time goes by so slow. Either way, it's going by. So how are you going to use your time? Oh, then, now go get me a cup of coffee and a cookie. And that's one thing, too, I hold in gratitude is time, man. Gosh, one of our greatest resources is our time. How are we going to use our time? How are we going to use our time? You know, and it's okay to be selfish with your time for yourself. There's part of the things too that as far as like when Gabar Matei, that book, it says when the body says no, and is that we don't say no enough. How many of you are out there who are always busy, always doing something for someone else other than yourself? Take some time for yourself. It's okay to say no to others. I've gotten to a point now too is I've really want to do things that feed me. Sometimes I used to go out there, play music and perform and doing these things, you know, and then oftentimes I'd find myself someplace, oh man, I really would rather ride my bike or be at a different gathering other than this. I'm really taking a look at that. How do I use my time? Because part of my time is like actually just being home and doing nothing. Hanging out with Ruby, hanging out with the dogs. Being home. Being home. How do you use your time? And so as we're coming close to this time here, I want to share a story and about, and I've been sharing this story quite a bit about Uncle Stan. Uncle Stan is from southeast Alaska. And Uncle Stan was a fisherman. And he was a good fisherman. And some people say he was the best fisherman out there. He'd go out there as a commercial fisherman. He'd always knew exactly where the fish were. He'd catch the most fish. And as a result, everyone wanted to fish with Uncle Stan because he caught the most fish and made the most money. But the thing with Uncle Stan, he was a great fisherman, but he was just mean. He was smoking, he was drinking, he had an attitude, if you don't work hard, don't do it my way, then just the hell with you, get the hell out of here. I don't have time for you. And it was one day that Uncle Stan, as he was fishing on his boat, he grasped his chest and fell to his knees. He's having a heart attack. And the doctors call this one the Widowmaker. And he fell to his knees and he fell to the cold, wet deck on his boat. And he laid there. The thing is about his crew, they thought about this. Should we call the Coast Guard? Or should we just let him die right where he's at? They threw a blanket over him. They called the Coast Guard. But nobody held him. Nobody embraced him or anything. They didn't even talk to him as he just laid on the cold deck. The Coast Guard came, picked him up, got him out of there, got him to the hospital, saved him. But the thing is about that Uncle Stan, he shifted his life 180 degrees. Uncle Stan became a kind man, a loving man, a grateful man, a spiritual man. Before that, he said, the hell spirit, no such thing. People would go talk to him, visit him, spend time with him, drink coffee with him. Uncle Stan loved to, as this walker, he'd go shopping for people and just bring them food or groceries, whatever they needed. He did whatever he could do. Oftentimes, Uncle Stan, he would go to the sweat lodge. He couldn't go inside the sweat lodge because of his condition, but he would sit outside and he would tend the fire, make sure the fire was burning hot. And although he couldn't go inside the sweat, those inside the sweat would yell out outside, Uncle Stan, Uncle Stan, tell us something, tell us a story. And from outside the sweat, Uncle Stan would start talking about a story. Oftentimes he'd talk about how he was taken away as a kid, as a child, and taught about that his ways of thinking, his livelihood, his culture, his traditions were bad, were no good. They call him stupid, call him dumb, call him not less than, putting them down. And Uncle Stan would tell those stories, then he'd talk about how his in a place of love and gratitude now. It was Uncle Stan. And it was Uncle Stan, one day he went out there fishing again, and he still caught the most fish, because he knew where all the fish were. But it was this time that Uncle Stan wanted to People wanted to fish with Uncle Stan, not only because he caught the most fish, but he also had the most loving boat. And the boat, when he caught, he would always take half of his catch and he would always give it to the people. He says, I don't need all this money. I don't need to make all this money. Here, they need this fish more than I need the money. So he was always given to the people. And it was a beautiful day out, and one day Uncle Stan was out there fishing. And again, he grabbed his chest and he fell to his knees. He was having a heart attack again. But this time, the crew, they wrapped him in a blanket and they called the Coast Guard just like that. They didn't think twice about it, and they went and they embraced Uncle Stan. They didn't just let him lay there on the cold deck. They embraced Uncle Stan. They held him, wrapped him up in a blanket, and they asked Uncle Stan, Uncle Stan, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? And Uncle Stan simply said his last words, just love me. Just love me. As he took his last breath. So what do we hold in gratitude? And oftentimes that's what we're just all just looking for, is just to be loved. Just to be loved. To be appreciated. To have an attachment. To love and be loved. Our time can be short. And so, not to wait. Not to wait. What are those things that we hold in gratitude? How can we calm the mind? How can we bring more love to our family, our house, our home, to our children, to the world, just with our presence of who we are, or just our presence of who we are. So with today, I just want to say thank you all for just a little bit of time, a moment, a visit today. Go out there and seek gratitude. Take some deep breaths. Take some deep breaths. You know, just count, snap your fingers. Count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Let loose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. On a count of 4, just take deep breaths. And at the end of those breaths, bring it in the now, bring it in the moment. Just simply say, thank you. Simply say thank you. And so with that, everyone, wellness, take care of yourself, take care of your spirit. Until next time, yeah. See you later.